What if the people who gave their name to one of the most powerful nations in modern history were not, genetically speaking, the original Germans at all? Not in a controversial sense, not in a political sense, in a purely biological sense. The DNA says that the people living in Central Europe before the groups we call Germanic ever arrived had been there for thousands of years, building civilizations, burying their dead, passing their bloodlines forward, and that those people are still the dominant genetic foundation of modern Germans today. The tribes that gave Germany its identity arrived late. The land had been occupied for a very long time before them, and the story of how those ancient layers, the Ice Age survivors, the first farmers, the Bronze Age migrants, and finally the Germanic peoples themselves, all fused into the population we now call German, is one of the most complex and most revealing genetic histories in all of Europe. It begins not with any tribe or any language, it begins with ice. During the last glacial maximum, roughly 20 to 25,000 years ago, most of what is now Germany was either covered by ice sheets or too cold and barren to sustain permanent human populations. The few people present retreated southward into refugees in southern Europe and the northern edges of the Anatolian plateau. Central Europe was, for a long period, essentially empty. When the ice retreated, it left behind a landscape that was gradually recolonized by hunter-gatherer populations moving northward out of those southern refugees. These were the first post-glacial inhabitants of the Central European space. They were genetically distinct from the populations that would later arrive from the east and south, adapted to the cold, open landscapes of a continent still recovering from the Ice Age, and they left a measurable genetic signature in modern Germans that is still detectable today. These ancient hunter-gatherers are the oldest layer, the foundation beneath everything that followed. Then, approximately 7 to 8,000 years ago, the transformation that permanently reshaped European genetics arrived from the southeast. Neolithic farming communities, expanding out of Anatolia and moving up through the Balkans and into Central Europe, brought agriculture into a landscape that had previously known only hunting and gathering. They brought wheat and cattle and permanent settlements. They also brought a genetic signature so distinct from the existing hunter-gatherer population that researchers can separate the two ancient groups in the DNA record with remarkable clarity. In what is now Germany, the arrival of these Anatolian farmers was dramatic. Sites associated with the linear pottery culture, one of the earliest farming traditions in Central Europe, show an abrupt genetic shift in the archaeological record. The incoming farmers were genetically very different from the hunter-gatherers already present. And in many areas, the transition appears to have been relatively rapid, the farming communities spreading quickly and in large numbers across the fertile river valleys of Central Europe. But the hunter-gatherers did not simply vanish. Over subsequent centuries, as farming communities stabilised and expanded, mixing occurred. The ancient hunter-gatherer ancestry re-entered the farming population gradually, increasing over time, until by the late Neolithic the genetic profile of Central European farming communities showed a blend of both ancestries. The original inhabitants had been outnumbered and culturally transformed, but they had not been erased. That blend, Anatolian farmer ancestry, mixed with ancient European hunter-gatherer ancestry, became the genetic bedrock of Central Europe, the foundation upon which every subsequent wave of migration would be deposited. And then, around 5,000 years ago, the most consequential migration in European genetic history arrived. Out of the Pontic-Caspian steppe, the vast grasslands stretching from Ukraine to Kazakhstan, pastoralist communities began moving westward in massive numbers. These were the Yamnaya and their descendants, the people whose expansion would eventually carry Indo-European languages across most of Europe and into Asia. They brought horses, they brought wheeled vehicles, they brought a social structure built around herding, mobility and warfare. And they brought a genetic signature that, in Central and Northern Europe, would become the single largest ancestral component of modern populations. In Germany, the steppe migration hit with full force. Ancient DNA studies of Bronze Age Central European populations show that within a few generations of the steppe people's arrival, They and their descendants made up the majority of the ancestry in the region. The transition was so rapid and so thorough that researchers have described it as one of the most dramatic demographic replacements in prehistoric Europe. The existing farming populations were not wiped out, but they were substantially outnumbered by the incoming steppe communities and their rapidly expanding descendants. This is the moment when the genetic profile of modern Germans was essentially assembled. 3 layers now stacked and mixed: ancient hunter-gatherers, Anatolian farmers, steppe pastoralists. The proportions in which these 3 ancestries combine vary somewhat across different parts of Germany and across different individuals, but all 3 are present in virtually every modern German genome, and together they account for the overwhelming majority of German ancestry. Everything that came after was addition, not replacement. The Bronze Age and Iron Age saw complex cultural developments across Central Europe: the rise of the Urnfield culture, the Hallstatt civilization, the Latena Celts, whose genetic and cultural influence spread across a vast arc of the continent. These were not new populations arriving from outside. They were the existing Central European population developing and transforming in place, building on the genetic foundation already laid. The Germanic tribes themselves were not newcomers to the Central European gene pool, they were expressions of it. When Tacitus wrote about the Germanic peoples in the 1st century AD, he was describing communities whose genetic roots in Central Europe stretched back thousands of years. Rome arrived. Roman legions held the Rhine frontier for centuries, building fortresses and cities and roads that still shape the layout of modern German cities. Roman cultural influence was enormous. Roman genetic influence was considerably more modest. Traces of Mediterranean and Near Eastern ancestry entered the German gene pool along the Rhine and Danube frontiers, carried by soldiers and traders and administrators from across the empire. But these were contributions at the edges. The Central European foundation did not shift. Then the migration period arrived, and the map of Europe was redrawn in a generation. Huns swept in from the east, displacing Germanic and other populations in cascading waves. Goths moved south. Franks expanded westward. Angles and Saxons crossed into Britain. Lombards pushed into Italy. The political geography of Europe transformed beyond recognition in the space of a few centuries. And the German gene pool? It absorbed some of these movements, gained small contributions from Hunnic Slavic and Scandinavian populations mixing along its edges, and continued largely as it had been. The migration period rewrote borders and dynasties and languages. It did not fundamentally rewire the ancient genetic architecture of Central Europe. What emerges from all of this is a picture of a population that is simultaneously ancient and assembled. Ancient because its foundations trace to the Ice Age recolonization of Central Europe and to some of the earliest farming communities on the continent. Assembled because those foundations were built up in distinct historical waves, each adding a new layer to a genome that was never static and never sealed. Modern Germans are the inheritors of all of it. The hunter-gatherers who followed the retreating ice northward, the Anatolian farmers who built the first permanent settlements in the Rhine Valley, the steppe pastoralists whose expansion gave Central Europe its Bronze Age shape, the Iron Age cultures who built the world the Romans encountered, the Germanic peoples who gave the region its name, but were themselves the product of everything that came before them. Germany did not begin with the Germans. The land was already old when they arrived, already layered, already shaped by thousands of years of human presence that left no written record and asked for no recognition. The DNA gave them that recognition, quietly, precisely, thousands of years after the fact, and the picture it reveals is far older, far more complex and far more extraordinary than the name on the map ever suggested. If this kind of depth beneath the surface of history moves you, subscribe.